So guys, today's guest is one that I feel is most appropriate considering the circumstances, just, you know, with everything going on, with, you know, there's fear and panic stemming from the chaos and the uncertainty. And I think with that fear and with that panic comes a lot of anxiety and a lack of peace for people. For some around the idea, I've heard it over and over, this idea that the world is ending. And I don't think it's ending. I don't. And if it is, I'm going to go out happy and on a high note and super peaceful. And that's why I'm doing this. But, you know, also there's on the flip side, so there's people that are kind of analysis paralysis and paralyzed by what's going on. And then there's a lot of hustle around this time. A lot of people feeling pressure to kind of get their lives going now. And if you don't have your life, if you don't take this time, this quarantine time to figure your life out now, then when this is over, you're going to be left in the dust. And I know for me personally, I am feeling that pressure. I'm feeling, oh my gosh, okay, I need to figure this out. I'm here. I'm at home. I have time now. And there's stress because you know, the world has essentially paused, which is something that I you know, prayed for so many years. I would be like, oh my gosh, if the world could only pause, if the world could be put on hold so I could have time to catch up and to figure my life out. Well, suddenly it's here. It's like the world is on pause. The world is on hold in a lot of ways. And the time is now to kind of, in my mind, figure it out. So it's like, gosh, how do I appropriately balance this time now? How do I make sure I'm not going too hard? How do I allow myself to sharpen the saw? Because sharpening the saw and pausing and resting and knowing when and how to stop so you can become sharper and you can become better and you can rest up is such a huge thing. And understanding the value of finding peace, like letting yourself feel that peace instead of getting caught up in the hustle bustle of life is very, very valuable. And for me, there's a big part of me that feels guilt. Like even now, even in this pause, it's like when I pause for a minute, I'm like, oh my gosh, should I be doing something? I need to be moving. I need to be working harder. Am I doing enough? And that's something, you know, all this considered, I figured there was no better guest today than somebody that I actually recently was leaning on to help me through this. Someone that it was reminding me of the value of meditation, which is something I know I need more of, but I have a hard time practicing it. Someone that was reminding me of the value of, you know, of taking time out for myself and finding that peace and feeling that peace. And so many of you know her already. And if you don't, you're about to get to know her. She is so incredible. She's such an amazing woman. And so just, I feel like she, ooze is the wrong word, but she just vibrates peace and positivity and kindness and generosity. And so if you don't know Simply Sadie Jane is an RN. She's a yoga, meditation, and energy teacher. She's a postpartum and prenatal fitness specialist. She's a mom of 3. She's a self-love advocate. She left her job as a labor and delivery nurse 5 years to create content full-time for women to better their body, their mind, and their soul. And really her mission in life right now is to educate women and help them create the space to better their body, mind, and soul. And her mission, you know, it's to help free them from self-hate, from false belief, from past trauma. And she actually has this really awesome self-love course that will kind of guide you through meditations, and hundreds of women and children around the world are using this and seeing so much empowerment from it. It's really, really cool. So say to yourself, though, she's fought through some incredible rigors of life and many traumas, including anxiety, postpartum depression, eating disorder, which are things that I've dealt with a lot myself, and many of you guys have. And just to see her journey from her journey of hope and healing is really, really awesome. Sadie, how do I get her on screen? Sadie, where are you? How do I get her? How do I get her on? I'm telling you, you guys need to follow her while we figure out, are we figuring this out?
Yeah.
Hang tight, guys. Again, newbie. Yeah, I see you guys typing and saying, Sadie, help. It's real. And I mean, I can't wait for her to go into her story because she has been there. She's been where a lot of you guys are in many ways and has gone through things that I feel like she's gone through the gamut. And her story, again, without giving too much away. There you are.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, hi. We made it work. We figured it out.
I don't know about you, but I'm like so tech not savvy. And so the fact that we're here is that's like a miracle in and of itself.
I know. I'm so proud of us.
Our wardrobe is so telling of where we're at. So I'm in Arizona and it's actually warming up here. And tell them where you are.
I'm in Utah and it's kind of snowing. Geez, if there's anything that can mess with my emotional well-being in this state is the weather.
Yeah, isn't it crazy how it can do that? Like literally something as simple as the weather. Is it pretty gloomy there right now? Is that what it is?
You know, it was raining yesterday. It's overcast today.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the rain. I think it's soothing and peaceful for sure. But it's also, man, when it's cold, I don't know. I feel really lucky. We have property, so we have a backyard the kids could get to go and play in. But when it's cold, it's hard, right? So
that is so nice. Well, you don't look like the weather's affecting you negatively. You look just so happy and bright and fun. So before the call, I hope you don't mind, I'm going to share this. Sadie was like, I have a sty on my eye.
Nice.
And I'm like, I have a big zit on my forehead. So we just agreed we would, try and cover. I was going to try and cover it with hair, but it's not happening. You covered yours. I can't see it at all.
No, I shouldn't have. I should have just not worn makeup. I'm not supposed to be wearing makeup, but here we are.
And I actually thought of not wearing makeup for you because you had a sty. And I'm like, well, I'm going to cover it a little bit.
We're here. We got it.
We are here. Well, I don't know if you could hear, I was telling them a little bit about you and your backstory. I didn't tell them much. I want you to go ahead, just basically saying how I love your story. I think it's so awesome. I've been through so many things that most women can relate to in one way or another.
Yeah.
Go ahead and share with us.
Okay, so first of all, I'm obsessed with you. I love you. And I think you're incredible. So we'll just start there. Thank you so much for having me on. I feel really lucky and I feel like, man, this is the time to come together and technology is exactly what we need in this moment. Like what a blessing to go through this and have this collective. I mean, we're going to go into that a little bit more, but my story. So you kind of went over it a little bit. I was a registered nurse. So I come from a family of 14. My mom had 8 kids, remarried, had 6 kids. Then there was a family of 14. Crazy dynamic, really. And I think that stemmed a lot of my issues just because I found calm in the chaos through food. And so I struggled with food addictions and then that struggled with eating disorders. And then moving forward, kind of jumping forward, trying to go a little bit more quick about my story, but I never really knew who I was. And I was always told I was a daughter of God, but I didn't really know what that meant, right? And I just kind of never searched for it myself. And I think that I allowed myself to push myself away from feeling things because I would focus on other things, whether that was my schoolwork, whether that was me being a nurse, whether that was, whatever it was. And it kind of all came to fruition when I was pregnant with my second, actually I just had my second baby boy, Baylor. You know that video of the guy that's like on CNN and his kids like come in?
Yes, yeah, I just watched that. Is that about to happen?
Look.
Are they popping in back there? Oh,
Taylor, you gotta go, buddy. Go shut the door. Quick.
right?
Yes, you totally can blow up my backpacking pillow.
Bye. I was just watching that video yesterday. The nanny comes in and like
chaotically grabs them. Oh my gosh, of course that would happen. Okay, anyway, so I was pregnant with him, my little Baylor. I had him, I was working full-time as a labor nurse and I was working nights. I was just really unhealthy and I was over 200 pounds and I remember breastfeeding him and feeling so just upset and sad and low and I was struggling so badly, postpartum depression. And I remember thinking, how can I see these women that I help every day as a nurse and see how powerful they are? And sorry.
There's like a speck in your cough it out.
Gosh.
We don't think you have coronavirus. And if you do,
something happened. Wow. Rewind. Okay. So how could I see all these beautiful women I was taking care of and see how powerful they were? And I didn't see that in myself, right? And I was breastfeeding him one night, and I just remember thinking he deserves better. And then thinking like, wow, what an awful feeling for me to feel that way about myself. And I thought I deserve better. Like I deserve better than what I'm giving myself. And I wasn't really giving myself anything because I was working such long hours and everything. And anyway, so I kind of became obsessed with that idea. And I went extreme, and I went strict paleo, CrossFit, lost 80 pounds, went like documented my whole journey. And at that point I had been blogging, but it was more like writing about my journey as a nurse, or like my little girl hairstyles or something, right? Because I've been in this internet space for a long time. So then I started sharing my story, and I was relating to women online, and it was connecting me with them. And that's all what I've always been about, is connection. I'm trying to help people. And I thought that would give me happiness. I thought that I'd find this like miraculous love for myself through my pant size. And I found myself as a size 0, and I was literally like more miserable than I'd ever been before. And I thought that was the stem of my issues when I was heavy. And then I found that I struggled with body dysmorphia severely, and I wasn't going to have any more kids because I was a slave to my weight. I was being completely, selfish isn't the right term necessarily, but I was just so blinded. Like I wasn't willing to have more babies because of that weight that held me captive. And I started getting an addiction to prescription weight loss medicine that I shouldn't have ever been on in the first place. And it was a really, really dark time. And I just craved for something. And I knew it was literally to the point where it was my life, or I was going to find something else, because I just couldn't find it. There was just nothing for me, especially if like me being skinny wasn't going to bring happiness. And like my blog was taking off, and I was doing these modeling gigs, and all these outside sources were seemingly giving me something that was supposed to fulfill myself, and it wasn't. So by miraculous, really, truly divine inspiration, I remember I walked into my first yoga class. This was in 2015, and something miraculous happened there, and I was able to find peace and connection on my mat. Around that same time, my sister actually was like, this is really weird, but have you heard of hypnotherapy? And I was like, no, I've never even been to therapy. That's like we just never did that, which is crazy, right? Because therapy is beautiful. But I was not in the hippie stage of my life at all. So I was like, you know what? I don't know what this is. This is probably weird. I'm probably going to get hypnotized. Maybe like a freaking watch on my eyes. Like, I don't even know. But I was like, I'm willing to try anything. Like, I'm desperate. And a beautiful thing happened to me there, where this man facilitated, where I went to stillness in my body, and my conscious mind, which is like here, where we're all here, was able to communicate in here. And an incredible transformation happened, where I was able to talk to my younger self, and I was able to facilitate that healing within myself. Wow. And that was the first time in my life that I stepped back and said, I have the power within me to heal me. Like I actually truly understood the power that I had within myself, and I had never before. And that started this incredible awakening for me, between hypnotherapy, meditation, yoga, and it just has streamlined. And instead of using physical fitness to ridicule my body, to force my body to be something that maybe it's not, or to not appreciate it until I get to that next level, instead I use movement for self-awareness and love, self-awareness and self-love through movement, healing energetic ties and wounds, and understanding like there's just a whole nother world. I mean, it's the Eastern and Western medicine put together, right? Because I think some people think that if you have a rough, like say you have a tight shoulder, well, it's either tissue or it's energy or it's both. It just depends on how you look at it. And I think as a nurse perspective, bringing that piece in, and I remember feeling like it all tied it all together as a nurse, because holistically, I remember feeling that connection energetically with people. So it changed my life, and I had another beautiful baby who he literally he waited for me in heaven for a long time until I was ready. And then he just transformed my life, and I took charge of my life, and I started being accountable to myself. And that's my mission. I just know that there's women and even children struggling with figuring out how to find themselves, understand their emotions, understand who they are. I had deep pain, suicidal thoughts in high school. I had situations where I just didn't know how to get out of. And it wasn't until I searched and found it for myself. And I'm searching every day, right? This is a mission every day. This is a journey, but I will not rest. It's literally my mission to give women tools, children tools to understand. And what better time than now, right? Like, incredible. So here we are.
I love your story, and I just see in the comments, people are loving it too. And I think they can relate on so many levels. I feel like there are so many questions I want to dive into. But I first of all, I love what you said about the exercise. It's that whole quote. It's exercise should be a celebration of what our body can accomplish, not a punishment for what we've been eating, or not a punishment for who we've been. And we do tend to look at ourselves as not enough. And so we're constantly striving for things to make us better, to perfect ourselves, instead of looking at ourselves as perfect in our imperfect state, and looking for things to enhance and help bring out the light and share the light. And it's just, it's all a mind shift. And like hearing your story, I love it. And a lot of people can relate to your having lost the weight and get to a point where you thought happiness was at the end of the rainbow. Like you're like, okay, once I get there, there's the pot of gold. I'm going to be happy then. We actually, in transformation with what Chris and I do, we call that lottery syndrome. It's like, when I win the lottery, then I'm going to be happy. When I lose the weight, then I'm going to be happy. And for you, it was when I get there. I do love that you had that moment of realization early on where you're like, something needs to change. And you almost needed to go through that to realize that happiness wasn't in the number or in the journey. We say there's a difference between the transformation game and the weight loss game. And it's like the transformation game is all about the pot at the end of the rainbow.
Yep.
And the numbers game. And then the transformation game is about the journey and the steps you're taking along the way. I can guarantee you there are more people listening right now that can identify with that feeling of, I just need to get to a size 0 or a size 6 or I need to get to my pre-body weight and then I'll be happy. What advice, like what tips, what do you have for them specifically?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting how you said, Heidi, like we're so used to focusing on the negative, right? I think we have been conditioned as a society. Like I remember even as, like, let's say when I was playing basketball, my coach was saying, okay, like what do you need to work on? Obviously we need to improve and strive, but I think that's how we've always been conditioned, focusing on the negative. And then if we focus on the negative, how are we ever going to feel that positivity within ourselves? And I remember, I think weight loss, I think even improving our bodies, transforming our bodies, that's what we should be doing every single day. And I give myself, my body, the gift of movement, my body, the gift of flowing and listening to myself now, because I know that it has a connection to my emotions. I know that we talk about hormones, we talk about cortisol, we talk about endorphins, like that is all connected, right? One thing that I really helped me when I was losing weight after my third Henry, I every single day would affirm, weight has no power over me. And it's the power of your mind. We have no idea what this can do. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit more during this whole live, because if we understood, then we could empower ourselves. And I have, some people will follow me and they don't know my journey, right? They don't understand that I've been on both sides, because I've been 220 pounds and miserable. I've also been 120 pounds and miserable. Like they both go hand in hand. And if they don't know that they can relate to me on that weight, they think, well, like, how do you even know? Like, how do you know what that even means? Because it's not about that. But we like to, I think that we want connection. I think that we want to feel relatable. And when we feel like maybe we can't, it's hard to connect because we're all broken. We're all trying to find that connection. But if we step back and understand that it's not about that at all, it's about improvement. It's about flowing. It's about love. And really, I am at a healthier weight than ever before. And it's so much more about like, what do I want? Like, what do I want in my body? How do I want it to feel? And not necessarily about the looks, right? So yeah, for sure.
and you're absolutely right. Like we are constantly striving for other things to make ourselves feel whole and complete. And that's in my own way, a lot of different ways. I have found myself trying to, at the end of the day, I think we all want to be enough and we want to be loved, right? And instead of me early on in life, like age has been such a great thing. It's a terrible thing because I have to figure out how to get rid of these lines and, like,
yes.
what am I going to do? But it's such a beautiful thing because I feel like the more with every wrinkle is like a whole chapter of wisdom that I feel like I gain.
100%.
And I found myself for so many years, and I hear this in yours, searching for validation and love from other people by way of being a size 00 or whatever it was. It's like, how skinny can I get to where what I saw in the mirror was not even close to the reality. Like all I saw, like when I looked in the mirror and I was 89 pounds was I have a saddlebag. And I mean, it was the most ridiculous thing. Yeah, if I drink this water, this person can't pick me up by drinking water. It's just what goes on in your mind at that point. It's almost like I reverted back to like a 13-year-old, I in my late teens, 20s, and my brain, when you're in that space and you're so consumed and you're trying to become what you think is going to be acceptable by everybody else, you completely lose yourself. And you saying 120 pounds versus 220, I think a lot of people, it's like you can say the depression is the same. I actually think for a lot of our peeps that we worked with, the depression's worse when you reach your goal, the 120 pounds, and you realize how empty and meaningless it is, how unfulfilling it is,
Yeah, I think it becomes like that 14-year-old self that you talked about, Heidi. Reagan was on the phone talking to Haley, her friend. Virtual learning, you guys. I literally had to kick her out of my office. I'm like, your school's done. I have to work on this. But what's beautiful about that, Heidi, is it's not just true. It's the key to understanding our happiness is going deep, is healing. And we feel triggered because things happen in our childhood that we never were able to work on or feel. And I think I remember a very pivotal moment when I was very young, when I was told that I was heavy. And I related that to sadness. And so I get triggered for sure. And I use situations, even today, I have to literally do daily mental checks and understand, like, what am I fueling my body? How am I feeling mentally? Because I will feel triggered by something based off of being these past issues, right? And they just layer and layer and layer on top of each other. And so understanding that and stepping back and acknowledging, I think acknowledgement obviously is that first step, right? And then being like, okay, where do I start? Like, how do I do this? And that is done with tools and, different movements and all those beautiful things.
Yeah. And you saying, where do I start? I think there's a lot of people wondering right now, like, where do I start? Like in their minds, they're wondering where they start. And I think society, you dealt with it. Back in the day, you said therapy was almost frowned upon. Like it was something where, when you, even admitting to yourself, let alone, you definitely didn't want to admit to your family that you were going to any kind of a therapist. I think people shy away from even diving into meditation and any kind of self-help because of the fear that, hey, if people find out, they're going to perceive me as broken. And so it is very frowned upon, where I have my own perception where I feel like the best, strongest, healthiest people are coachable and moldable in that way. But for somebody out there right now that's watching this, that might be sitting in that same position where they're like, gosh, are people going to think I'm weird? What do you have to say to them, and how can they start?
Yeah, I feel like I completely understand that, because there is there very much is a facade around that space, around meditation, around mindfulness, especially coming from a place of like organized religion, right? And I think, like, I grew up in an organized religion and I'm still a part of one, and yet I've connected all of it because it's all coming from light, right? Yeah. And I think we get worried. I think a lot of it is judgment on ourselves. I also think that we are conditioned to be kind of lean into things with fear. And it's beautiful. Here's the thing. I think that fear makes people step away thinking that that's wrong, right? When really, actually, there's a fear there because we're called, like, it's calling to us.
Oh, I have chills because you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I think we get so confused because we decipher wrong. Like, that's my intuition telling me no. No, like if it's here, you should listen. Think about it for a second. Like, is it something that you need to be doing? And I think that this is a call to everybody on this entire planet, not just to unify, but like we have to step back. We have to start somewhere. And we don't have the luxury now of feeling like this doesn't work for me. Because if you're feeling that call, even if it's fear-based, a lot of people, so I use this a lot in my life coaching things when I talk about how people are triggered by other people. Those people are mirrors. And it's a really hard concept to understand because then we think, oh my gosh, like that's an issue too, right?
Yeah.
But if we step away from conditioning or even our minds, so enlightenment, the actual definition of enlightenment is always questioning. And that is what literally will make us continue to take us on this path of finding that creator within us, finding out what really we believe, our truth, our core beliefs. Because with me, for example, coming from a place where I was taught very much to what I believe, which is beautiful. And a lot of my beliefs are the same, but I didn't know that until I had to question them, right? And brought in those different things. So to answer your question, stepping in, like just stepping in and trying it. I think it's so important. I've been doing live meditations on my Instagram, and it's been so interesting because I went through chakras, which we don't even have to go there because it was like their energy sources and it kind of goes deeper. But I just tell people, like, if you're on here, you're supposed to be on here. Just try.
So can they join you? Is it daily that you're doing a meditation? Because I think a lot of people hear meditation and they don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
Where can you point them, or can you give us, like, I mean, I'm kind of new to meditation too. So what would you do?
Well, first, so yeah, I'm doing right now, since all of this has kind of gone on, I'm offering at 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I do a live meditation on my Instagram.
Every day.
Every night. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm offering that so a guided meditation is a little different than obviously doing it on your own, but some people are confused. And I think that they're confused because they're worried, like, where does it relate to God? Where does it relate to me? Right. And meditation, it's actually really incredible because pondering, meditation, stillness, they're all related to the same thing. They fit in so perfectly to your life. It's insane. Like, it doesn't even, it's so perfect, and you'll realize that. But meditation, really, the definition is just a single point of concentration. And what it does is it's almost like a quick guide to hypnotherapy. And here's why. Because you are forced to find stillness, not forced, but obviously you strive for stillness.
Yeah, you're in a position to actually find that stillness.
Yeah, and you just go there. You just start, right? It's like saying a prayer for the first time. You sit in stillness, and what happens is, what you're doing is you're turning off your central nervous system so that you can listen, right? And we talked about this a little bit earlier, Heidi, because you're like, I've been asking for this reset.
Yeah.
And it's scary because when have we, like, sitting still it's not just impossible for kids, but every adult has some form of ADD. We just do. We have to be moving. We have to be going. We have to be serving and helping and lifting and improving and setting goals and move. And what are we missing out in here by focusing and working so hard out there? So much.
Yeah, it's so true. I was actually, I was having a conversation with Shane, our mutual friend, and I was kind of venting to him and just saying, I worry I'm not doing enough. Like, I feel like I need to move more. Am I moving in the right direction? Am I, making it almost like, in a sense, like, am I making enough of my life? And I think it's natural for us all to question our value continuously, and I think that's why it's really important to be surrounded by people and tools and techniques that can help ground us. And Shane's thing back to me was, who are you according to who? Like, who are you? Who says your life? You're the one who gets to dictate whether your life is enough. And the more you kind of going into flow, and it was something I wanted to bring to you, because there is just this like innate guilt, right, of sitting still. So even the times that I've done yoga, I sit there in the room, and with the exception of one, I've had one incredible experience, but sometimes I'll sit in the room and I'll just be thinking, okay, wait, should I be lifting right now? Should I be giving my muscles the stimulation that they need? Should I be building? Am I missing out on cardio? It's like all these things that like you're trained to like train hard. You hear, I mean, there are Instagram accounts all about never rest, never stop. But at the same time, that never stop, I tend to feel like I'm moving mindlessly in any direction instead of focused in one direction.
Yeah.
I had a really good yoga session.
Tell me about it.
About 2 months ago. It was, but I also am in a place in my life right now where I'm trying to, I think again, we all kind of reach these forks in the road occasionally. And I'm at one in my life. And so I was really present with like my emotional sense of being, like in my emotional state at the time. And I remember going through this yoga class, and it was in a room of people that I felt so safe with. Like that's so important, right? The girl that had brought me is incredible. One of my really good friends, and really just cared about me. And I think I was and I was kind of embarrassed. And so I wiped my tears off, but I found myself at the end laying down, just crying. And I felt for the first time in a long time, like at peace with peace. And it was an experience. I'm like, gosh, I know I need this. And once you're there, you want to return. You're like, oh my gosh, this is real. It kind of takes an experience where you can actually get there.
Yeah, absolutely. What a beautiful experience. I think when you go through these experiences, you have pivotal moments like that, right? And you're like, wow, that was for me. That was what I needed. And I think I have so many different things I want to touch on, but let's talk about emotions first, because I think a lot of us feel like, first of all, some emotions aren't necessary, nor do we want them in our life. And I think some of them, we feel like they're weak. It's weak. We're embarrassed. When it's actually like emotions have been given to us to help us. They are teachers. They are visitors. They don't need to overcome us. I teach this in my kids' emotional awareness course because I wasn't allowed to express my emotions as a child. I just wasn't. Like crying was not necessary. Like it just wasn't okay, right? And I think that I think I see myself as a mom looking at my kids and being like, it's okay, you're okay, like you're okay, rather than allowing them to express. When I know crying is powerful. It's actually a powerful emotion. It's actually a way to release what we should be releasing. So when you, Heidi, had that powerful, safe, like safe is huge, feeling safe. And that's what your mat can do, your yoga mat. So the word yoga, to yoke, truly literally means connection. And that connection can be to your mat, a safe place, to your higher self, whatever that is. And when that happens, something happens in our brain where we say, our walls can come down. Let's look at this. And we're strong enough to see whatever it is that we need to heal, because we're stronger every single minute of every day, right? And we aren't that 14-year-old self or aren't that 12-year-old self that we were for. So we can feel that and let it go. And I think so many of us think, I don't want to feel mad. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to feel angry. I don't feel anxious, right? And I think it's normal. I don't want to feel anxious either. Like I don't want to feel anxiety at this time. But because of that, we push it away so much that we repress it. And it's like this, right? We're pushing it away instead of letting it come in and say, what is it teaching me? Okay, so I feel anxious. Okay, so this is a little bit more difficult than I thought. I thought I wanted to reset, but do I? Because now I have to force myself to see what it is I need to see. But guess what? This is so beautiful. This is what it all ties in. I think everybody will have a moment in their life, hopefully, where they wake up one day and they think, holy, whose life am I living? Right? You create this life subconsciously because it's been designed for you even before you were born. You see your parents and you see your mom making the breakfast and you see your dad go off to work, or whatever it is, and you've designed this life. And one day you think, but what about the life I actually want, right? And because that comes to you, it's scary, right? It takes a lot of bravery, but what could you actually create by allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to sit and say, what is it? It's all about questioning, because you just don't know what you don't know until you ask yourself, right? And so meditation, I don't know. I don't even know. And I think a lot of us get scared. What if I do it wrong? What if I don't know what I'm doing? What if?
I think something really important for people to know is you're never going to be a pro at something the first time you try it.
Yeah.
Anything new is going to feel really uncomfortable, but it's the whole like, hey, babies all sucked at walking when they first started trying, but did it them? No, like they kept going, and obviously they became pros. And I love that thing. And it reminds me that new things are okay. You know, new things need, like the more we attempt new things and we stick with them, it's obviously a sign of courageousness, and that's what sharpens our skills and makes us better. And when it comes to meditation, I think it is going to feel uncomfortable for a lot of people. I love. I think you have a. You have this free journaling challenge? Does that kind of bring a lot of this together? Can you tell us a little bit about it for anyone that might want to do that?
Yeah, I think it goes along with everything we're talking about, because we talk about perfection and we talk like whose idea of perfection are we even going towards, right? And I think it really comes back to understanding not just the tools that we have, but understanding that we can design that. And it can look, here's the thing. I think perfection is this unrealistic reality where we're trying to strive to be like somebody when really like no one else is like us. That's our superpower. We have a gift of something unique that we need to be brave enough to share, because that is like, I feel like, Heidi, you do that so well. I will forever remember when I very first started following you. I feel like you are powerful in yourself. You are unique and you're confident in that. And that's not easy, right? It's work every single day. And the only difference between Heidi really and me, or even Amanda over there that wrote that comment, is the difference of whatever path it is that they're wanting, right? Virtually, we're stepping in and we're being brave and sharing that, but Amanda could be sharing that in her hometown too. She has the power just like all of us, because we're all on that same level, all that. And I think it takes a second to start to understand where that power is. Yeah. And just like breathing, so there are tools that we have, there are gifts that we've all been given that we don't even realize we have. Breathing's one of them, right? Our pranayama, our life force. We have power in our breath. There are so many tools, so many different breathing exercises that can help us find so much power, inspiration in there. Journaling is also one of those. So we are a tech.
Oh yeah. Stuck on our phones.
On our phones. Even when I write notes, right? We're here. We actually have, studies have shown that if you put a pen to paper and write, that actually sends a signal to your brain to process. And when I started talking about journaling, I talk a lot about it myself, of course, but when I started talking about it more, people were like, I don't, like Dear Diary, like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, Dear Diary, today I went on a bike ride. But it's so much more than that, because it's actually just expression through writing, expression through, like, it's a process of processing. So there's things I do every day. Intention, I write an intention every day, or I'll write a gratitude list, or I'll do a meditation and write it. So this journaling course that I created, which I feel is so crazy that I launched it literally right before this all happened. But it takes you 28 days through different prompts to help you. So we talk about going back to that intuition, right? Going back to like, what do we want? I don't think we know, because we haven't been true to that intuition. A lot of the days that I go through my life, there's things that I do because I was told, or because I just thought that that's what I wanted, right?
Or because of external pressure. Yes, expectation. Maybe we think somebody has for us. 100%
expectations, yes, from outside sources. And that's scary, because you don't want to be judged, right? Stepping into yourself is crazy. Like, okay, if I actually would I like ever shave my armpits, right? I would still, but you just never know.
It's true.
It's so true. I think we don't know unless we start questioning. And I think that journaling course not just helps that, but it helps unlock your creativity, unlocks what you wish to find in yourself. And not just that, but we're in a really scary time. And it's also a really beautiful, peaceful time. I believe that they can coexist. And
I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna cut you off.
No. Bring in. I like start going on these tangents. Like,
I think I actually believe that it is in the most chaotic times and the scariest times that we are able to find the most peace and grow the most if we allow ourselves to. It's like, I love the whole, Ed Milet says it all the time. He says, life doesn't happen to you, life happens for you. And I believe that. It's all a perspective thing though. And it's like, if we want to look at what's coming to us right now and see it as a bad thing, we're going to see the bad. But if we choose, hey, this is coming to us, it's really heavy, it's really dark, it's really scary. But like, as dark and as heavy and as scary as something is, I truly believe that the opposing force is equally as bright and light and uplifting. Like, I know, like, something I always used to say in transformation, it's like your highs are only as high as your lows are low. I believe that wholeheartedly. And it's like, you can live a life right here where your highs are here and your lows are only here. And like, you kind of just coast, right? And if you want to live a life with high highs, you have to be ready and you have to be willing to make through and embrace those dark times, because really it's only through those dark times that you can climb as high as you want to climb. So I don't know if I learned it from my dad or what, but I love, as much as I hate them when I'm in them, when I'm in them and I'm hurting and I'm hating, I'm like, gosh, but this is just I know there's something amazing on the other side of this. I know. Yeah. And we talked about feeling your emotions, and that resonates with me. It's like, we want to numb these emotions. We go to food. We want to go to alcohol. We want to go to work. We want to go to busy, like to something to keep us busy. But I love how you said today, the power of being in your emotions and feeling them it's incredible. Like, it's something that I think we need as humans to grow. And I mean, just to also kind of circle back to the free journaling course, there is power to everybody listening. There is so much power in taking pen to paper, removing yourself from a phone and actually writing down how you feel. I want to do your course. I really do, because I kind of, without structure, I journal here and there and all over the place. And so it would be fun to actually go through a 28-day journaling course and see how it affects me positively. But it's something in transformation. We tell all of our people, you should be journaling every single day, because how we feel in one moment, we might feel so great today. And then tomorrow comes and we feel the exact opposite. And when you're in that dark moment, you feel like there's no way out of it. Yeah. And so sometimes we need to reflect back on to remind us that there is happiness waiting for us. Like, hey, this is just a moment. This is just a space. This is part of life. And we're going to get through it. It's that hope, and the processing that's happened for me when I write things down, pen to paper. I mean, like, literally simple stuff, but I pen to paper a lot. Yes. Instead of notes and phone, it sticks more in my brain. I take it more seriously. I think about it in a way that, I think that I need to. So I know, to everybody listening, we're actually going to send you an email after this. It's going to give all of the info on how you can join Sadie's free 28-day challenge. And then she has some really awesome courses that I want you guys to take a look at. We're going to be emailing you about all of that stuff as well. Sadie, do you mind if we jump into some of the Q&A that a few of the people Okay. Oh, I love this one. So I'm going to ask this. Someone asks, how can I help my kids learn to meditate? Because my kids will not sit still. Yeah.
So so the first thing is example. Like, when I started doing meditation, my kids, and I have videos of this, my kids were like, Mom, what are you doing? I have a little 3-year-old, and I meditate even if there's chaos. So there's a lot of times as busy moms that you don't get stillness in obviously optimum environment is quiet, right? Or like music or candles or incense or whatever it is. And that's not going to happen every day. It's just not going to be ideal. So if you make it a priority for yourself, even just 2 minutes, sit in stillness, and I will have kids come into the room. My little boy will come and like try to pick my nose or like touch my hair or whatever it is. And I sit still.
And you actually don't feel it.
No, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh, like, no. but they will learn from you always. And that was one of the big tools and tips about like this whole even reset that we're going through, right? Is this isolation is, and that's a lot of pressure, I think, sometimes for moms, but they then started participating. And then I just allowed them to participate whenever they want to, because they are in tune. Our little humans are so in tune and they want that connection. So we have kids, I have guided kids meditations, and I will turn them on in the car. I'll turn them on when we're making dinner. And they start to notice like, oh, mom, this person's saying, thank you, arms, I love you. Or bedtime's huge. It's a perfect way to start meditation. And actually they fall asleep faster. They don't have nightmares. Like, it's been incredibly therapeutic for my kids and kids all over the world, really. And start with you, I think, is the number one tip. And then just let them be kids and let them be in tune. And they will learn, like, the next thing you know, you'll look over at them and they'll be taking a deep breath, right?
Wow.
So beautiful. I think what a beautiful gift that you parents are giving your kids. Like, imagine if we had that as children, that emotional awareness. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and you're so right. It's kids will do as you do, not as you say. And sometimes the more you say, the less they want to do, and they kind of rebel against. So the more you can make it, we do that with exercise. Don't force your kids to work out. Just do your thing, and kids want to be like you more than you even know.
Yeah.
It also becomes what they start to feel comfortable around. So they're always going to have memories, Sadie, of like walking in, whether they participate or not, that's always going to feel like home to them. Like that calmness, that what they saw their mom doing. I love your approach to that. You, by the way, maybe you already have them. You need to do guided meditations, because I would buy them and I would listen to you to guide me through. So you need to do it.
I definitely do. I have them.
Then we'll put
I'm going to send them to you.
All right, everyone listening, I'm going to make sure we get those links and put them in the email.
So I'm going to give you the journaling challenge, and then I'm going to give you all the guided meditations.
I'm excited. Oh, okay. Do we have time for more questions?
Yeah, look at the questions right there. Click the question button up here on the screen.
Oh, down here. So off of my screen. I have which show me where. Oh, here we go. Ask a question. That one. Okay, good. Oh, okay. Oh, and it goes by votes.
Yeah.
This is really,
the top two ones are really good.
Technology is incredible. Like it's so the top question right now, Sadie, is any good podcasts or meditations you recommend? Probably yours. Probably. Okay, so we'll get that to you. I'm going to go to the next one. Oh, this is so good. What do you do when you feel like you're having a meltdown? Oh, I need this. Tell me.
Yeah. So my goodness, what was it? I recently had a like full-on panic attack, and it was insane. Like, woke up, heavy breathing, sweating, heavy. What's that?
What was it over? Like, why?
Oh, you know what? It's funny. I don't remember. There's a couple that I do remember that are really pivotal. One specifically was like a flashback. I had a dream of a traumatic event as a child, and it came to me, and I hadn't ever remembered it.
Wow.
And then I woke up and I realized it wasn't just a dream. It was a reality. It was a memory.
Wow.
And I was like, I couldn't breathe. Right. And I think when I have meltdowns, and that's a little extreme, panic attacks are extreme, but it goes back to pushing it away. We go into fight or flight. So this is what's happening. This is actually a really good example, because meltdowns are happening almost every hour, because our life is changing every hour.
Yeah.
What happens is, because we're humans, because we are literally made to survive, when a meltdown, when something happens that makes us stem something in our minds, our amygdala, which stems that fight or flight, we separate our physical to our spiritual bodies, because we go into attack mode. We want to then survive. We want to hold space for our physical bodies. So we go into fight or flight. Because of that, we forget the tools that we have.
Yeah.
Breathing. Like, it literally goes back to breathing, remembering your breath, remembering the power. There are a couple different anxiety-based techniques that I love to do as far as breath goes. There's a thing I do every Monday on my Instagram stories. It's just stop and breathe. Literally stop wherever you're doing, sit on the ground, hold your hand to your heart, and just take a couple breaths. Because we don't realize
this, and you just stop.
Just stop. Close your eyes. Inhale, and it needs to be slow, right? And you can fill your belly up even. Because when you're going to inhale, Heidi, look at your shoulders. Look here. Notice that. Because you're like, right? Yeah. But just like relax your shoulders, fill up your belly first, and then fill up your chest. And then exhale out your mouth. And allow yourself to find that stillness. We don't realize how shallowly we breathe. That is our power. It is literally our life force, right? So there's 2 different exercises I'm going to teach you guys for breath. One is left nostril breathing. Literally, you just plug your nose, your right nostril, and you breathe in and out of your left nostril. That's it. If it's clogged? I know. My right nose is deviated, and so it literally is clogged all the time. So I'm always left nostril breathing, which means like, I got this.
Side. I think mine is too. I have a deviated sometimes.
So there's alternative nostril breathing too, right? But left nostril is easy. Like say you're in Costco, although you're not supposed to be touching your face right now, but you can like literally just like everyone's losing their shit by you, and you're like,
and then touch your nose is what you.
So what it does is it forces us to take deeper breaths, and it actually slows down and recirculates the oxygen within our bodies energetically as well. And it forces ourselves to go to cross hemispheres between our left and our right side of our bodies. Another one that's easier is the 4-4-4. So breathing in for 4, hold for 4.
Breathe in through nose or mouth.
So I like to breathe in through the nose always. I feel like it's like if you're breathing in through your mouth, like just try that. It stops here, right? Yeah. If you breathe in through your nose, you're filling in that space. So we can try it together. Inhale for 1. Hold. And out our mouths. You can add that pursed lip as well. So I call the pursed lip, I call it bubble blowing breathing in my kids' course.
Like this? Oh, like this.
Yeah, so like remember, because there's different breathing techniques even for like labor, right? Remember when you were hypno breathing your babies, the pursed lip breathing. It just forces us to slow down the exhale more.
Got it. You know, it's great. I would see behind the camera. Derek's back there practicing all of this as we're doing it. He's trying to top things off.
I love it. Oh yeah, Derek, following along. I think another huge thing to do, and this is maybe the last tip, and then we can go to the next question, is acknowledging. Okay, if we do not acknowledge how we're feeling, our bodies will continue to hold on to it, and we'll just continue to panic. We want to push it away because it's uncomfortable. But like Heidi beautifully explained earlier, like discomfort is meant to happen. Like this life was not meant to be easy. Like we have to find conflict to grow. And so acknowledging that you have that power, you will never, ever, ever, I know this for a truth. I know this 100% true. Like we will never be given something that we cannot.
Yes.
Right? So if we understand the power within us, then we will be okay acknowledging, okay, I'm having a panic attack. I'm feeling scared. Yeah. That's okay. Okay. So feeling that, understanding that, acknowledging our emotion, processing it through breathing, giving yourself that grace, maybe starting to write down what you're feeling, you know, remembering that you're here. There's grounding that you can do too. So many different things.
Yeah, I love that. Amen to that. I want to get one more question in just because there are a lot of votes for this question.
Okay.
And then I know we've gone over an hour. Sorry, guys, but this is just so good. I can't stop. And people have some questions about, wait, hold on. Do you do it just through one nostril or do you switch off?
Yeah, so there's 2 different kinds of breathing techniques to do, but left nostril is really good and it's easy to remember. Literally just close.
You're going to favor your left nostril if you have to.
So just some hippie techniques for that. We have different sides of our bodies. Our left side is our feminine side. Our right side is our masculine.
Ooh.
Yes. So our left side is more empathetic because it's our feminine side. This is for men and female. So that's another reason why.
Interesting. I just learned something new, a lot new. That was amazing.
I mean, and think about where you favor injuries. Is it on your left or your right? Like, you think about that.
My good side is my left side, and it's because it's my more feminine side.
See, my good side's my right.
Oh, it's oh. You know what that means? We can take good pictures together.
It would be perfect. Yes.
It is so bad when I'm with someone that has a good left side because we
No.
both have a prom picture.
I love it so much.
Okay. So the last question I want to have you answer, and then we'll close it up. How do we stay on track with our personal goals during this time of anxiety and extreme stress? So what's something you're doing to stay on track with your goals during this time?
Okay, so I want to kind of challenge that question and pose a question as to why. Like, here's the thing. None of us have ever experienced this before, right? This is a call for us to come back to starting over. What is it now? Guess what? There are things that we can't control. Absolutely, there are things now that I have now changed and molded, right? My kids are home now. My husband's home from work. He's working from home. I have to figure out in a whole new business what works for me, right? There are things that I do, though, every single day to help me stay on track of my emotional well-being. Literally, I think if I think of like the number one thing that I think is the most important right now is that emotional well-being, understanding and coming back to that, because we had, I don't know if a lot of you are in Utah or not, but we've had a lot of earthquakes.
Yes.
And crazy. And that was the first time when I was like, whoa, I don't have control here. And I have to be okay with not having control because there's nothing you can do about it, right? So I think you need to have grace. Give yourself grace, okay? Your goals will look different. They just will. And understanding that reality gives yourself that grace to say, okay, so then what, okay? Writing an intention for every single day, taking it one day at a time, one day. And I even sometimes I'm like, okay, I need a break. So this hour, I'm gonna go take a shower, or this hour, I feel like I can be productive, setting intention. So an intention is just literally one word that you can carry on throughout your day. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it. It's funny, Derek, I think it was you that I was talking to on the phone, but were you the one that said 2020 you had some goal and then he ended up changing it recently? His intention or his word, his phrase for 2020 is now one day at a time. And like, there's not a better time to have that be something that guides us, even with regard to our goals. And I think it's great to have these big BHAGs, right? The big, hairy, audacious goals. But at the same time, I have found myself shifting my goals a little bit to be like, hey, I want to do something that, I want to make sure my goals are on track to help keep me fulfilled and independent as a woman and a person. But I also want to make sure my goals now pertain to the environment I'm in. Like, now is a good time for me to kind of fulfill on goals and create goals around my family, which I haven't been able to do in a very long time because of all my travel. So I love what you said to that.
Yeah, Derek, I want to ask Derek what his goal was before this.
Derek, what was your goal before this?
It was just creating vision.
Oh, vision. So his word for 2020, his phrase for 2020 was vision, and changed it to one day at a time. And I love it. What was that?
Just being present.
Yeah, being present. I think
it's beautiful for us to step back, because in presence you can get inspiration for your vision, right?
Yes.
And they can all relate together. Yeah. Cool.
I love it. Sadie, you had so much good stuff to say. I feel like I could spend 4 more hours talking to you. And I'm sure and I see so many questions. I wish we could get to all of them. So I'll just have to have you on another time. That's what it comes down to.
We need to hang out more. I mean, I'd say let's have a girls' weekend, but we're gonna have to do it via Zoom.
I know. We'll do Skype girls' weekend.
Yes. You're incredible too, Heidi. Thank you so much.
Yeah, where can people find you? If people are on here looking for you, where can they find you on all platforms?
Yeah, so my website, simplysadiejane.com. My Instagram, Simply Sadie Jane. YouTube, Facebook, all of those beautiful things. All of my guided meditations, all my different courses on emotional awareness, fitness are on my shop on my site as well.
Awesome. And then guys, just a reminder to everyone listening, we are going to be sending a replay link to you guys. So you'll get all of this with all of her info on there as well. So Sadie, thank you so much. You are so amazing. and so inspiring and empowering. And I love following you and seeing all your stuff. And I can't wait to do your journaling challenge. And then to everybody else, thank you for being on with us. I appreciate it. You were so, you all loved each other. So you loved Sadie. Yeah, really great thing. So anyway, stay tuned. We're doing this again Sunday at noon. I'm not going to tell you the guest quite yet. You set a high bar, Sadie. You set a really high bar.
I love you, Heidi. Thank you.
Thank you. This was so much fun. And guys, thank you. Be safe and have a great rest of your day. Mwah.